edition of Mr. Nice Guy and Ben Slowey. Today on the show, I'm very fortunate to have Milwaukee's biggest music fanatic, Mr. Christopher Novak, joining me today. If you know one guy that's at pretty much any local show supporting the band Front Row, Chris Novak is usually that person.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And I'm very fortunate to have become friends with you, and I'm excited to hear a little bit about, just get to know you better.
Yeah.
And hear a little bit about, why you just are you. So Chris, welcome to the show.
Precious. Thank you so much. I was going to say you're the one up front row, but thank you too.
I sit in the back a lot. I mean, it depends on...
From afar?
Yeah, it depends on the venue.
Yeah, I would agree highly too with that. Especially the way the sound's set up.
Right, yeah. Yeah, like sometimes I get like claustrophobic and I just like want my own space.
Understandably so.
Like, especially like at company brewing, I like to sit in like the far back like corner sometimes and just like enjoy my drink. But other times, like especially if it's someone like I really love, like really support a lot, like I'm friends with them, I'm fucking up in that shit. I'm like right up front, like up to their nose.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just like, can I be on the stage with you now?
Yeah, literally, yeah. So Chris, to start, what'd you do today?
What did I do today? I counted down the hours till this interview.
Oh my god! Oh.
I ran off today and I did some just errands around the house, but really this was the main focus.
Oh, good.
I was just gearing up to go to a lovely battle.
Fuck yeah! Well, we're
I'm in good company.
Yes, agreed.
Especially with the incredible job you've been doing. And the people he's getting, every time I'm like, what? Wow!
I appreciate it. I just try to stay busy. I mean, I figured this summer, like while I have like a lot of downtime when I'm not working, fit episodes in. So started reaching out to a lot of people. This summer's been very lucrative and productive. Lucrative in terms of content, not money, not actual money. No, right. But this was like a big focal point of my day too. I was just excited to hang out. It's been a little stressful because I got in a little car accident the other day with my. Yeah, I'm okay. I wasn't hurt or anything, but. It was my roommate's car, and like we've been trying to deal with all this insurance shit. I took it to the shop today. Yeah. Do you have a car?
No, not the slightest.
This shit doesn't make you want a car.
Okay, that's kind of the thing about I've been doing well at the moment.
Right. The bus system's great.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Yeah. So Chris,
yes.
What we talk about in Mr. Nice Guy, we talk love and fear, as you so kindly have tuned into episodes, and I appreciate the feedback. I like to talk to people not only like that make music and like make art in general, whatever it is, but I also just love to exchange sort of perspective on like what art means to us and like why we love it so much, why we connect with it, just why it brings us so much joy. We've talked music a number of times. You have a very eclectic taste.
It's true.
You listen to a lot of stuff. What was how big was music like a part of your life growing up?
Well, that's actually interesting. Contrary to most people's beliefs, I wasn't coming out of the womb with headphones on. Most of my entire life, really, I just didn't listen to music in the slightest, actually, until it became, I think I was 15, sophomore year, or something like that in high school, and I had gone on a road trip to Denver, where at the time my oldest lived, but now both my oldest brothers live there. So my middle brother Dale was very deliberative, like, no, you need to listen to music this entire trip because it's like an 18-hour drive straight. So we did it, and then there was artists I listened to. I'm like, oh, I like that music, but I didn't go ever out of my way to listen to music for some reason. Whatever I'm obsessed with at the time through my Asperger's or whatever. It's like it's all things that like we shouldn't be into, like history. That was my first love, and then Universal monster movies, and then just cinema as a whole, and then it became theater, and then it was like that's pretty much why I became more social and stuff like that, because like it's just theater in general. So I'm like maybe branch out extremely, even though like being an Aspie, we shouldn't be around people in crowds. With like general rule of thumb, we don't like it in every case like that. Now I still have a bunch of the side effects and so forth, but it's like the devil effect where I like, as a personality wise, love to be around people and just treat everyone in joyous and social surroundings, but the trappings of Asperger's just like could never feel fully safe and kind of shaky. But I do it to scare myself for it, to make the chance, because I know where like what I can do enough to be safe and so forth. But it's like kind of throwing myself in the deep end, see if I'm comfortable and can stay afloat in the crowd. But then for music wise, I liked Vampire Weekend and Edward Sharpe and just Bob Dylan, especially when I was younger.
Oh hell yeah.
But when it would have to be like just out of high school is when I actually deliberately went on my way to see all the shows imaginable and dive in deep and make up for a very lost time. And I think I did plenty. There was I guess locally, my love for local music came because I was the band Bully was doing a two-band bill with Whips in town, and they played at Cactus Club, I believe it was, and it was a weekday. It was a very weird setup, but I just was going for Bully, and I remember my friend Ashley, who was like a sister to me, I was just like, she's like, you're gonna love Whips. Buy this record already. I'm like, I like to see it first. Instantly the next day I went to Rushmore and got like 2 albums. Awesome. I was like, I need to buy it for someone else too now. But I already knew the Whips at the time, and like that was a part of it. When I started to get into it, I highly focused on Whips, No, Tiger Net, Full Fiction at the time.
Shout out all of them.
I just gotta name drop them all.
Yeah, please do that. I love tagging everybody like we talk about. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, the first time I saw one of my all-time favorite, all-time favorite band was Lady Lamb, who is top 4 for me probably of all time.
You met Lady Lamb, didn't you?
Yes, our history together, we actually have like a history for some reason, it becomes now. So I saw her, I just discovered her music on like a Monday, and she was playing the Thursday in town out of nowhere. It was just like, time was very meant to be that way. And I went to go see her, and I wasn't too familiar with all her work and stuff like that. I just like knew I had to see it right away to cross it off my list.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most magical shows I've ever seen. And she just captivates the room, and it was at Turner, and Solo was the opener, and that's even before I first saw them.
Oh, wow.
That was technically the first time I saw them, and I didn't know the dudes at the time, and I just knew of them as being good folks.
Yeah.
And it was just an insanely crazy good show, and so I was front row, of course, and once the show ended, this was the first time I had a one-on-one with like a more famous band that was not a local, and then there's countless stories of that, but I remember she was touring with her full band, and she played, and Turner is I love Turner to that, but much like Backroom, and when the show's done, the show's done. They don't like the people who take around, and it's true, I get it, you know. So there was a woman on the microphone, and she literally spoke on the speaker, and she goes, "If you're not buying merch, get the fuck out."
Wow, yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a concern, but so everyone, of course, gets in line for merch, and then I'm like, there was all these people looking around me, just like gave me the stink eye, and I'm very like shell shocked and nervous about the whole matter, and like this before, I was very at all the shows, so I just didn't know protocol. And I go there, do the cliche, get the album, get this autograph, photo, and then I go, rather than just gushing about her music and the show I just saw, which is, I could have easily, I just asked her, I was like, hey, is it a true you love her cinema, which is just a nerdy way to say it, movies, because I read somewhere in that little 3 days of knowing her music, because I've had to dive in deep about everything, she's a big movie nerd. So then we literally, like, the schoolgirl term, you know, Charity Cathy's, and we just nerded about like trying to top with the most obscure movie references and stuff like that, and it didn't become about music at all. It just became about a general passion of us that like we didn't know each other had. Yeah. And then someone was trying to kick me out, and then Allie is her name, and she goes, "No, he's gonna stay with me because we want to discuss film, and I'm the headliner of this. It was my show." And if I want to just stay here with me, discuss music, we'll talk, whatever we want to talk about. So I stayed for 30 minutes after Turner closed, and just nerded about movies with the singer that I just saw, like we were childhood friends.
Wow.
And then I guess how that ended up going is she went on tour Tallest Man After Earth, Tallest Man on Earth. destroyed. It got really big after that. Then she did these solo house acoustic shows, and it was like 2 years since I last saw her. And she's not gonna remember some face in the crowd that she met like once.
Yeah.
All right, so but the kicker was we met. I was at Here Studios where the show ended up being 2 rooms of only like 30 people max. Originally, she only just wanted her, and it was a very hard year of my life. I think it was 2016, which is definitely it probably was. That was the worst year of my life. But there was so much good in that year, and I remember she came up with this very, very heartbreaking album. At the time, it was Tender Wire, I believe, and just the room was not a dry eye in it. But I was very nervous because I was like, she's not going to remember me. But Lily, I was one of the last people to go and hang out with her and talk to her, and it was a very collective and beautiful, engaging experience.
Yeah.
And when I went to go try to remind her, like I kind of like memorized a little thing to try to, before I could say a word out of my mouth, she remembered everything, my name, the situation, my favorite movie, and it was like a couple of years since, like 3 years and so forth.
Oh
and just faced the crowd, and it was like we've known each other our entire life again. So then when she just played in back room a couple months earlier this year, she came back, and once again right away she's like, Chris, like before she punches in,
that's awesome.
like, you get the merch with it, like I'm gonna write you this like note and this stuff. Like, it was just I know, she means the best, but it's like I would say her, Margaret Gillespie is definitely another situation. There's a group called Echo Friendly from New York that never tours, but their first album is one of the single best albums you could ever hope to listen to. I need to buy it for you.
Yeah, love to hear it.
And then my all-time favorite, Win the Wave, who I've seen probably over 200 times now. Huh. And they are not only some of the best human beings I know, but lyrical-wise, they hit me so close all the time. Yeah. And sometimes it's like they're very it's distinctly them. It's something in their life, like a name or like this part. But then I just feed it in with things that I relate to in that situation. And I mean, they are literally they're such a perfect band. They're not meant for everyone, I know that. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me to be with them since the beginning of their journey and how they're continuously growing and just adapting and just the struggles and the triumphs and their qualms, and it just they lead, and they also 2 of the members are like the best of friends, and it's the cutest thing in the world.
Oh, great!
Hang with them.
Love it.
Sorry, but I don't think I went on a weird tangent.
Oh no,
that's how I got into music.
That's awesome. No, that not a word too much. That's amazing. That's actually funny you say that, because I didn't really start like seriously listening to music till I was like 11 or so, and I only started because my sister was like, "You need to start listening to music."
Like this will help you out.
Right. Like before that, like all I cared about was video games. I was very antisocial. I didn't really care too much about like.
We're following the same journey.
Right. Yeah. Literally. No. It's actually so. Yeah. It's funny because but once I like got into it, I think the first band like I started with that she put me on was Led Zeppelin. Still like one of the biggest bands in my heart to this day. That became, I started getting into like, Nirvana and The Who and Linkin Park, and into high school I started listening to like the Fleet Foxes.
Okay, yeah, that's a good era for that.
That was like my first indie band was Fleet Foxes. I finally got to see them last year at Pitchfork.
How was it?
It was.
I haven't met him.
Oh my god!
I had 2 chances to see him. I didn't take it. I should have taken it. I know I should have. Okay.
Oh my god! It was so amazing. I felt so like it was remarkable. Like very, very emotional.
Yes.
Yeah. And then like as I got more like I started getting into like a lot of 80s music. Like I got really into like U2 and the Police and Fleetwood Mac and Dire Straits, like that kind of stuff for a while. But then like so like I was like getting into music, like like in high school like I started, but like I would like get very like attached to certain songs. Like there would be like a set like couple songs that I would just listen to over and over.
But not the rest of the collection of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've had that too.
Yeah, and I still do that sometimes where I'll just like obsessively listen like one song.
I was like, I gotta hear it all.
Right.
Eventually.
Yeah. So that leads me to like when I got into college, I became more of an album guy. Okay. And that was when I'm like, okay, I love like pouring into Spotify, like researching like all these artists, like the related artists in the pages.
That's how you connect with the spiderweb effect.
Yeah,
and I do too.
Yeah, and that's how I really started like and I had like close friends that were also really into music too, so they would share stuff with me, and like, so I was building like all these playlists and this huge list of shit that I have to listen to. I literally spend all day in my room just like looking up music and stuff. Yeah. But like sophomore year of college, when I was like 19, was like when that was like when I really first started like listening to like albums, like the full like expression of like the artist and like, you know, what they wanted to do with this
story they wanted to tell.
Yeah, with this material, like where they were at in their careers and stuff.
And then feel like that about like how they are in their lives through their work.
Yeah, and then I started buying records. Spend too much money on them.
I love that feels.
I would just like, because I went to WM, so like I was just going to the exclusive company, like
very convenient.
So I went so much, and now I have like close to 200 that are in my room right there. I can show you after this.
Sure.
But no, but I really started finding myself connecting to like a lot of like the like really what's like, I mean, if I love a song, I love the song. If I love an album as a whole, like the album artwork looks cool, or I like the guy's voice, or I like the instrumentation, like all those are components that make the music really enjoyable. But what I really started yearning for is like the person or the individuals behind the art, and like which in turn allows you to like connect with it even on a deeper level than you thought before. And that's why like I love local shows so much, because
so you can get to know them.
Because you can just, you know, approach somebody and be like, hey, that was a really cool show, like like, you know, like what's your name, like how long have you been doing this, like, you know, like what's your story, essentially. And it's so easy to do that out here. Like
they're very easy to do, no matter what band it is.
Like I'll you know, I remember like in like March I saw Kaylee Conway, and afterward, like, you know, because I started writing for Breaking and Entering this year, and I would go up to artists and talk to them about the show, basically talk to them everything we were just talking about, like, you know, what's going on, like, you know, like what do you got going on right now. And Kaylee Conway was my longest Breaking and Entering interview. I talked to her for like 20 minutes. It was super long video.
Yeah, she's the best.
But she's amazing. Yeah, shout out Kaylee Conway. She is like so sweet, so down to earth, very like open. Open. Her music's very like eclectic and idiosyncratic, like very she blends a lot of different elements into her music, and when you actually talk to her, like you see like how she has such a broad scope of like what she wants to do with her music, like the story she wants to tell, and that's just an example of like really getting to know the artist. And now like I'm friends with a number of like really amazing like musicians out here, like Lex, Schlee, Zed, like all of them are. They're like, their music and shows are so much fun, but they're also just fucking awesome people.
I agree highly about that, but then it's always another weird one too. So it's like, if like necessarily the person behind it's not the greatest, but if you like the music still, that always becomes a stickier one for me, because I don't know fully about it. But same time, I just, if I'm gonna like the song, I'm gonna like the song. Yeah. But very degree behind who's behind it, I would say. But localized, I mean, just some of the people. Sometimes I fall in love with a person before their music even too, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't ever seen the show, but like you were definitely one of my person. So then it's almost like a fresh start into it, I would say, or like even just knowing what's going on in their lives, and just like you'll hear the same song and it'll be maybe the same set, but just they'll play it in a different way because you can feel the weight, how it's weighing on them differently, whether it be in a good mood or like they're not in a good place, and just the words can express you indifferently. No, and Full Picture are definitely some of those, because there's a lot of songs where I will be in my life and I'll listen to it or see them perform it, and it will hit me differently. Like where they'd be like, oh, this is like an anthem, a cheer up anthem, or like, oh, this is like it's really good to the bones of me. And I don't know if that's their intention, but there's those who definitely have like songs where they can switch it. It feels it's a happy and a sad song.
Yeah, right.
And they affect me, but there's so many bands like that for me. But even like my favorite note, Wind the Wave song. They, like I said, knowing them personally by heart, and just they check in with me every year. They're from Texas, and they'll send me messages, and we'll mail each other some stuff. They gave me like one of the coolest birthday gifts in my life ever, so that was really cool.
What'd they give you?
It was the year first time I did my birthday concert put together.
Oh, cool.
And the following weekend, they were playing in Madison at the first place I ever seen them play, which was the Frequency. Many, many years ago, they opened up for like Saints Motel, I think it was.
Sure, yeah.
Sadly, Frequency's not around anymore. But I remember at the end of that show, I had no contact with them. They're not a known band. I just discovered them, I think, through my best friend, and he made me play their song. And it's like, oh, this like your thing. And of course, I fell in love with Lynch, everything I could. And then after the show, though, or after their set, I ended up talking to Patricia, Patty, and Dwight, the two main members, for like it was like I think it was over 3 hours after their set.
Wow!
And it was just like we knew, like they're just so open and so dedicated about everything. And it was like I never had this experience, and it's just we just got along together like very fast. And the next time I had the pleasure of seeing them was at Summerfest. They were at like an up-and-coming stage, and I remember we met. Had a brief like little talk after their set, and they had to go on the van to go next states away, and just we dived in deep, and actually like rather like Wisconsin under the street team, so we like hear some other tour and like bump up and co-run it with another good friend of mine who does the Madison side, and just they're so magical. So on their first headlining tour, I remember I saw like 4 different states of where they played. Went to all of them.
Wow.
They met my siblings, and they're just the sweetest thing. And I ended up meeting a lot of the members who have the street teams as well, and just like everyone who's a fan of them are just so collective. And it's, we just bring each other in. And there's not a birthday that doesn't go by. Like we have a girl in our Facebook group or whatever, and I'm just like every birthday we should go shout out, and everyone just praises everyone and talks about how much they're loved.
Oh, that's amazing.
And like it just becomes this whole like streamed network of like just fans that through their music that we all connect on, just and then we talk about like the hardest of times and everything, and just we really always want to check in on each other. And it's like to have that relationship with my favorite band, it's like it's I see no difference, even though they're not really well known. If it's like, Florence Welch and Florence Machine is my favorite band, and I had that same relationship, it is the same to me, because is like my battle end all, and just every lyric is almost like a personal mantra through them, which also are my beliefs too.
That's really incredible. Like that is like. That gives me chills to even think about, like, being able to, like, have such a personal relationship with your favorite group. That's so incredible. Like, for me, like, that would be, like... So, my closest is Animal Collective.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite group if I was going to have to pick. And, like, I mean, I've met 3 of the 4 members. I've met Avi Terror, Panda Bear, and Deacon. But I haven't met Geologist before. But I've seen them as a full band... Well, I've seen them as Animal Collective 3 times, and I've seen Avi Terror by himself once. I met Avi Terror and Deacon this past April when I saw Avi in St. Paul, and I know they're big David Lynch fans.
Same here. I'm obsessive.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. And I'm a huge David Lynch fan too. What's your favorite David Lynch movie?
See, So, general thumb, I feel like when someone asks you that, if they want to be like traditional, they'll go with the Eraserhead.
Right.
Or the 2 common ones are usually people say Mulholland Drive, because that's like probably the most famous, just as a whole. Or they'll say Blue Velvet. No, I love all of his work, but even with the lesser errors. But Straight Stories is actually his weirdest movie.
Straight Stories is my favorite.
It's not my favorite, but I love it because it's so. It's such the name is just basic. The story is just really sweet. It's a Disney-made movie by David Lynch, and it's actually his weirdest movie because it's so not his style. Yeah. But it is a very good movie. But my personal one, I go with Lost Highway. I am big on Lost Highway. Highway. That's my favorite to dissect out of all the dissecting movies of his. Is Lost Highway. I just could focus on that one so well, and it's in between the 2 ones that people call for. Definitely Lynch, and just anything he does, he touches. I have to show you sometime. I have his he did this photography book, and he made a music album to go with it, and you get the CD in the back, and it's just all his photography work.
Oh wow!
It's like it's one of the coolest things that my oldest gave it to me. He's just like, I don't know who this David Lynch guy is, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, you can have it. And then I'm just like, it's so rare, it's so expensive. I never thought I'd own it. And I probably just happen to have it in this like collection of artwork.
Wait, that's amazing! Wow.
Yeah,
I want to see that. Yeah.
It's really good.
Holy
yeah.
shit. Yeah, I'd say, like, I forget about The Straight Story. That's one of my favorites. I'd say my favorite is Wild at Heart.
Well, there we go. That was like another good
I just love Willem Dafoe in that movie, how creepy he is. And
Wizard of Oz.
yeah, right. But yeah, Mulholland Drive is great. I need to watch. I need to watch his movies again. But anyway, so like I know they're big David Lynch fans, and I asked after I saw it because Deacon was touring with, like, he was playing like guitar and like keyboards for AV, and I stuck around after the show, got to talk to them, and like got autographs and everything. And like I asked AV like what his favorite David Lynch movie was, and he said, "Oh, that's a tough one, but I'd have to say Inland Empire."
Ooh.
Which is like,
Yeah.
which is one of the most confusing David Lynch movies.
I would definitely say so.
Yeah, and it's like 3 hours long, and I'm like, and he actually told me to like check out some of Lynch's like early work that he did with like short movies.
Yes, that's what helped with that one.
Yeah.
I think didn't it start off as like a short
Yeah,
film,
yeah.
and they just compiled it?
Yeah, he was like doing like that short film work, so like that was so inspiring. But the crazy thing is like I know so much about like the band and like their story and like individual like details about like all of their lives and stuff like that. Like I feel like I know them so well, even though like I'm just some fan.
Yeah.
Which is such a weird thing to think about. Like I feel like I know you so well, but you have no idea who I am. One day I hope that will change. Right? But like I think it's just so incredible how someone's art can like be so transformative in how you like, you know, perceive a person and what they do, but then like you get to meet them and talk to them and just another person, you know?
True.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, I always feel like that weirdness is like it's like, oh, the star, the celebrity, it's like,
and they're like,
just a person,
right? Literally,
same day, and it's like the ones that I have met that have that breakdown of it, like there's so many, but that makes it matter. That makes me like them more because I know that, or like they'll admit like the faults of themselves.
Yeah.
Like when I saw Regina's Spectre and Florence Machine.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
2 different shows. That'll be a good double bill. Like when they would describe their songs, and some people don't like when a band full like this is the story behind this one. But some people do, and it for me it just depends. So some of Florence's one, she was like very open of just like a lot of times it's just very bad things, or she had so much alcohol, or like she breakups or whatever, and then like it was just so open to it, and then you would hear the anthem behind it right after it, and that kind of made you realize more through the lyrics necessarily, or but then there's bands who like just tell a story through the album. It's not necessarily them, but it's someone else's story or a collection of the faces they've seen through their years, like not the new Lumineers album, but the one before that was very derived from just not necessarily their experiences. But
which album?
The one with I'm thinking Gloria. That's the new one, but the one with Ophelia.
Oh, okay.
Ophelia?
Oh, yeah.
Like that one, I was interesting because it's like the story arc is actually someone they met one time in tour in some country.
Sure, yeah.
Of the woman, and then they just thought that was such a powerful story that they based all the songs around that,
right.
And then they filled it in with other experiences on the road of other people started telling them, and that's how they made that album.
Sure.
If I recall right.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like you have to curb yourself. Like, this is something you learn when you go to like a lot of shows, like you and I do. You have to curb like fanboying and stuff like that, because like at the like people don't. Yeah, right. It's so hard sometimes. Like I think like definitely one of my favorite Milwaukee bands is Snag.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, like I'm not even really that big into like. I mean, I like hardcore music,
but I'm not that big into it. But sometimes.
Right. But like, I'm not even like. I don't listen to it that much like on my own, but I just have so much. I just love Snag shows. Like, there's so much fun. Yeah, and like but then like when you like just get to know the guys like behind the music, they're like the sweetest, friendliest dudes that just care about the environment a lot. They are everyone, not only the band but a lot of the people that go to the shows are all kind of like, we're all sort of socially awkward and like which is something that like is a beautiful thing, is like everyone's just comfortable in the moment.
It was like it's like you guys are uncomfortable, but you're just comfortable because you all are in the same vibe.
Right.
It's like a group mindset. Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Feeling of safety.
And that's like the most pure vibe you can have. Is everyone just being there together, present, and like like no one is like sticking out or anything like that by being different. Like everyone is just experiencing this beautiful moment together. That's why like this show is like what it is, like is hearing like the story behind like a creative or an artist or just a person that like everything that like that they've been through, everything that like
to that moment,
that has made them who they are today.
Now since the show's funny as well, this question always comes to me and when you go to see a show, when a band takes a song, whether it be their hit or like a song you like, and changes it differently or performs it differently or maybe switches the lyrics, how do you feel about that? Or it doesn't sound exactly how it is in the record because they don't have all the equipment and sound effects for it.
That's a good question.
Do you want me to go?
So I think that like that's interesting. I think that it can be sort of like a take it or leave it thing. Like it does depend on the artist. It depends on like actually Animal Collective does that a lot, where they'll take a lot of their old songs and like rehash them into like their new material and stuff like that. And they'll have like different samples, different transitions, different instrumentative qualities, and it'll be completely different. There's plenty of other artists that do that too. Like I mean, take an artist like Beck, for example. Beck was 90s. Beck is probably had nothing near the amount of like stage production that Beck has now.
Exactly.
And I saw Beck at Riot Fest last year, and he had all these backup dancers and singers and like all these crazy lights that went with his colors. Yeah. And he has all these like lavish outfits and like he's on this big stage.
Pizzazz.
Right. But who knows? Like, Beck was, at one point, like when Beck was like first getting his start, he was dirt poor.
Yeah.
He was like living like in a shed, and he probably was going to open mics that are similar to the ones we have out here. It's like, and he was probably playing some of those old songs.
Yeah.
The songs off Odelay that he still plays today. He was probably playing those songs too. So I think it's like, it's cool. I think it's cool how artists can play like their songs in completely different ways. Yeah. I think it depends a lot on like what the artist wants to do at that point. Like, do they want to experiment a little bit? Do they want to?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? Yeah. What
I mean, there are times like it's just like I was there for that song. And it's just like my first experience where I didn't necessarily enjoy it was it was early Edward Sharp was playing, and I was like, of course, Home was everywhere, so it's like I had to play that, and I was like, I get why they do it, and they do it still. So they gave Home Is When I'm Alone With You or whatever the song is title, or the chorus. But they would have Home Is, and they would give the mic to an audience member and have what has to that individual what home is to them. And that like idea is so engaging and grouping and choosing.
Right.
But sometimes when the person can't get their feet, you're left with a very iffy end of that sentence, and then they got to sing that end of the sentence, and then it's just like that kind of cuts a weird vibe. But yes, at that show, Alexander was not in the best of states to see like that. Yeah. But I've seen him since, and they've definitely slay it every time. That was my first kind of like, this is awkward.
Yeah.
But I just generally even if I might not enjoy the difference, I do appreciate what the reasoning behind it and the way they go about it.
Yeah.
But mostly I like it. I also am a big. I mean, it sucks they did it like you both hope when you play live, like everything's niche tight. But to me, I just if the string breaks or if the sound might go out or the amp or something like that, or if you're playing you fall about and just like that is why you go still to a show, in my opinion. It's just like I want to see. I don't necessarily need a record sounding pristine copy, like the best it could be. I just want to be there for the experience of it all, whether it be good or bad or just like a hiccup or so forth. It just makes that engaging, and especially that exact show, what that is. And more just,
it's an imperfect experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imperfect is the perfect.
Yeah, totally. And like, how do you feel like knowing? Yeah. So this is another thing that you were kind of touching on earlier. How do you feel like knowing an artist personally changes the way, like, how you perceive their music or their show?
Well, a lot of times for me, knowing them. So it's a difference of like I knew them beforehand and then music, or the music and that's how I know them then afterwards.
Right, yeah.
Because sometimes with the music first, I have like my idea of it or like what I put into it, what they put into the songs, and but then realizing that might have been it, not it, and flip it on the head, like that is different because it's like necessarily what I put into like my thoughts and feelings, attachment to those words are necessarily not true, not false, but it's maybe not what they actually were about it. Yeah. But they understand that it's like how you take it and perceive it, and it becomes either a lot of times artists are so open with the work that it just becomes not theirs almost anymore. It's like I'd say the Cat Race is very good with that. Yeah. She's just also just
shout out Cat.
Warrior woman. She's just so tournament for what I aspire to be in my life. Right. They're just extremely talented human beings, very powerful individuals, never break from their morals, just are most anti-ego people I've ever seen. They just truly...
Which is amazing.
Because, I mean, it's impressive compared to how just perfections they are. It just makes it unique, or even there's like times where necessarily this group I was not the biggest fan of or fondest, but if I met them or just know them, I do appreciate it more. It's just
I agree.
You do understand where they're coming from a lot of times, differently and better as well. And it becomes almost like a therapeutic for them. A lot of times too, whether it be a happy song or a sad song or just make around whatever an anthem. It's the voice that they wanted to get out in together, especially with a larger band one. It's a lot of intakes to form one single lead voice, and that I find is more magical than
I agree. That's actually that's interesting. Like, it's different because like I mean I've like a lot of my close friends like have been musicians, and so I've been I've just loved who they are as people from the get-go. We're friends first, and then like me admiring their music is sort of like, it comes like almost like an unspoken allegiance I have where like I'm supporting you, and whether or not I particularly like your music, like for
that's
what
I was going to touch on,
right, like I still like it because it's what you're making, and I care and support you and love you. And it is different, like when I'll have like close friends like making music, and it's like I already have my idea of them and like who they are before I listen to this, but then after I listen to it, I'm like, wow, like I'm picturing you behind this the whole time, and like whereas when you don't know the artist before, it's like you have no concept of that. And you're entirely, you don't have any bias over whether or not you're gonna like this or not. Which I mean, I do like a lot of the music that my friends do make.
Same.
But right. But it definitely, like, I feel like it is nice when you don't have that bias and you can just sort of decide. You can sort of like have an impression of the music first, and then
if you don't like it, you don't have like an internal like guilt factor.
Right.
If it's like, I'm sorry, I don't like that setup, but I'm honest with them. Like if they just know it's like, I'm not gonna just say it like it's just because I like the people, and that could be an iffy situation, but they'll know if and I'll admit it, but it's just like I'll still see them, I'll still support them, I'll get money, I go to the show, I'll promote the hell out of it, even if it's not my genre or my taste necessarily, but I like them, and I know it's good work. It's still like, to me, I'm just like, you are doing it, I'm happy for you.
Right, yeah.
I like that fact that you are doing this and you are making that come true. It's just right. So that's just like my cup of tea, so to speak.
Right, yeah. We all got that, and that's a big part of like, you know, us not making a judgment of whether or not it's good, but whether or not it's for
depends
us.
who you ask.
I'd say that like, like I do like to get to know the artist after I already like listen to the music or see the show, because then what you're saying, like, it does sort of give like a newfound appreciation or new lens you perceive the music in.
Yes.
Which in turn just allows you to take more from it. I get that a lot, like, where it's like, oh, that's what this album or this song is about. Like, that puts so much more context to it. I relate to it that much more, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, tell me about your birthday show. Birthday show you do every year.
Yeah. Well, now it was. I've only had 2 thus far that worked out. I occasionally book shows for like a hobby and so forth, and I work at a venue, Cooperage.
Shout out Cooperage.
And I worked for Cactus for a bit, and it's one of those, like, I've been around all the venues and all the bands for so many years that, like, it's just like a general trust that people, like, been wanting me to do stuff for a while. And people always want me to, Chris, when are you going to finally make a band? I don't know if I'm really musically inclined, but just, it's one of those, like, they want to go, have a reason to go support me, and give out, because I've done the same for them, they'll say, and it's like, I used to do theater, and I don't even do that much anymore, but, with the birthday shows came around, because it's like, that I was not the person who was like, oh, your whole month's your birthday, whatever. I was like, the day of your birthday is like the day you should celebrate, because I don't, not a big fan of attention. Sure. I love to just compliment and praise other people profusely. That's why I took there's a Milwaukee Record article which ties into this birthday show.
Sure, yeah.
I was asked for a pretty long time to have it, and I just, Tyler got on. He sold me on doing that interview in a very interesting way, because he did it not how it would affect me, but how it would promote the show and the band. More people were likely to go and give the fans the money. I was like, well, it's going to affect them better. Like, oh yeah, sure, I go. Right. And there was a 88 one that was Justin Vernon, Mackenzie Basher wrote many years ago that I didn't really knew about it, because they seemed to want to interview me for a while. They're good friends and some people I loved most of my life. But it was always like, this person is much to have more attention, highlight this. Like, I'm nothing compared to these people who are truly even like that much more supportive and angels. And instead, they wrote me as an inspiration. I was the inspiration for the thing was called Appreciate the Appreciator, and then I was name dropping a ridiculous amount of times in the article. Oh, wow. But it's really sweet. It was the idea of the person on the screen, the person on the stage, playing on the instruments, whatever, is metaphorically and literally in the lamplight, and you're in the dark as the audience member, but they won't be they can't be who they are without the people who go to see them. And it's like, you don't go to the show just to promote your new jacket or whatever, or like show off like the bartender. You go there just for the love of the art and what led them to that moment. So it's like, the person on stage can't be truly who they are necessarily without people who see them and go see them, and wait in line 5 hours to get a glimpse of them, and have to go to work in 10 minutes afterwards or no sleep, but then you spend their last $10 or whatever with the tickets. It's like, who sacrificed that much to see them, and like, that is a true thing, I believe too. It's like you have to have both parties to make each other work. Yeah. No one goes, Joe, you can't be a performer, really. So it's like, so with the birthday shows, it was, I just really thought that would be the best, ultimately, way to do it, was to celebrate it. And I don't have them, like, my name's squooshed upon the poster board or whatever. It's like, Chris me, and I don't do a speech or anything like that. It's just, we'd say it's my birthday bash or celebration, whatever, and I do a 4-man build, because you shouldn't do necessarily over more than 4. 4 is like the safe limit. That's going hours and hours. But the way I do it is I I get two groups that people will blindly see, like locals that truly have the fan base, love to death. I love to death, but I don't. Compared to booking a different a show another week, I want my birthday shows to not just have a show you can see every week. Like, despite my love of all of the artists and stuff like that, and whoever would be on that bill, I want two groups that are like that, draw in the crowd and mean the world to me, and I've been dying to have on stage. But I also make sure the other two members, bands a part of the show, are lesser known or get them a kickstart because I believe they should be as well known as the others and not maybe got that opportunity and they never think they were going to come out with an album or they barely play. It's just like hopefully that would be a springboard for them. Yeah. If not though, I love them too. It's just as the same. So it's like I'll do it that way and I'm not necessarily just because my show. I believe it's truly their talent and it's just not discovered yet. But ever since then, the lesser known ones from the shows definitely have been just slaying and getting more opportunities and more albums that they never thought they would have out. And just even at the same time, even like my last one was Clear Pioneer. Valerie Lionheart, which was also interviewed by you. Who that was her second ever performance for the public in her music career. She did Litterman's and like a midday, if I believe correctly, and then straight into that, which was like over 275 show up on a Saturday night with big bands. Yeah, so it was that, but then it was like Full Fiction, so I Love Life, and Hussey from Madison, who was one of my all-time favorites from up there. Madison's and slaying it. And Bobby, just like he got an opportunity out of it, and he's like a pretty well-known band. He hasn't played in town at the time with that group, and I believe in a year and a half, which didn't dawn on me because I'm so used to him in all his groups and just him as a person. So that was a really special show. But him, like the one that's the most well-known, and he's good friends with a lot of more famous bands and went on tours with some great people. He got an opportunity out of that even too. He opened up for Punchbowl Social's opening night in a 45-minute set, and he's got this extremely like good gig out of it, and definitely earned his keep out of it. And it was like even I helped like even the well-known band, so to speak, and I truly like the feeling about it. I did the bands, my friends. The first one I did was No, Amanda Huff, and Devil's Teeth and King Eye and the Skirts. All my
awesome!
So
I love all of
that was like so. Devil's Teeth and King Eye and the Skirts were at the time maybe the lesser known or less appreciated, and that show was this really every time I've had both birthday concerts it just fall on the worst day of the week for competition. So the first one, I just love the Dale stacked lineup. My artist brother Dale Novak, just my all-time favorite personal artist. Just his work is so amazing. So he does my designs for me, and just the things he comes up with. It's just, wow, I put that at my door all the time. So it becomes almost like a brother act. And with that show, that lineup, anyone in the right mind would go to, of course. But the thing was that night there was a show, really good shows at Turner Hall, Pabst, Riverside, and Company at all, like just stacked bills. But not just that competition I had to face. I had the first Bon Iver's 10-year anniversary performance of From Alma, from front to back, on the Summerfest grounds that day. So it's like, well, there you go. Half the city's gone. Like, I want to be there, but I got to do this, And I got to show up to my birthday show. And I just remember that, and it was wild, and I was extremely more nervous and impatient about the whole thing. And of course, it just went immaculate. It was such a beautiful show. Everyone took care of each other. There was not one problem. Like, people just made friends through the show that I just didn't I don't know, just they never met. They just both knew me. They came to it. People went to the show, and then months later, I realized I went and got a new coworker, and it's like, that was you at the show. But I didn't make it about me. They just knew the name. It was being thrown around through the bands, and it's like that just was so gracious. There are people even who left the Binary show to came to my show, like.
That's amazing. Wow.
Well, waste of money too, but it was really easy to do. It meant the world to me. Like, even one of my favorite people in the world, Kelly Marie Stafford, her best friend flew her out that day from where she was living in New Orleans to come to be that didn't surprise me.
Oh my
and it was
God.
just like, it was so much overload, and it's just the sweetest, and my heart was just exploded all the entire night. And I cleaned that up, and then towards the end, there was even another weird moment. I was like, so I get, also on my birthday shows, I make the cover slightly under than what necessarily it should be, just because the nice vibe and the bands are doing for the love of it too. And I remember I went to go pay the bands, and I was already just grin to hear, just overjoyed. And I remember I went to go pay the bands, and they kept going, what is this? I'm like, and I never paid the band before, so I was like, oh, they're not doing this right, or whatever. And they're just like, I go, it's your money. You did a performance, you did a job. I believe you should be paid for your jobs. Like, that's the thing.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
and then it's like, no, we're all trying to do this pro bono because we just love you. And every band said that, and it was like a group mindset. Like, everyone I went to try to give them money, they were not about it, and they just wanted to do it for me. So that, but I still made them take the dough because I didn't want it. So that was just like, it just made that even more just heartwarming and explosions. But of course, I have I actually have like a poster in my room of all the band names and the checkoffs.
Oh wow!
Because I don't want to repeat. I'm trying not to repeat ever with the birthday shows because I just wanted to have all of it for it.
Yeah.
The last one was kind of difficult because I had 12 different groups at times, whether they'd be on it or considering it or so forth. That I've asked many more, but that I truly was pushing the effort to get them on there, and just scheduling wise, it didn't happen. So the last show I had was I had the first Saturday night of Mama's Ride with Whips and everyone else, and that was like the show I saw. And there was a show at Anodyne with Amanda and Here Presents show, and that was another insanely good setup. And it just all in there, but if I can share, and it was definitely a hit again. There was a lot of band members went to go see it and noticed that too, and through that, Atheists and Airplanes is one of those, and I've yet to work with them. We're supposed to work soon. I remember they when them, and I'm not necessarily the closest to them. I remember I saw them once. The first time I saw them, I had no clue there, and I walked out of the room so amazed, and I was like, but then I was like, have they been around for a while? I don't know. I was scared of the screen.
They rock.
And then I realized they were newer at the time, but they had so much stage presence and so much songs too that they could easily have time right away. That was my thing. I said right, and then I geeked out of them to all 89's friends and Cactus friends, and then they ended up being on Bill of Cactus within a month, I believe, after that.
How did your hug show?
Oh, the hug show. So that was kind of so I originally booked it just because I wanted to get. All four are pretty lower, and if you say food chains and bands, but I love all to death, and some of them are very new. And I really just wanted that experience for them because it would be the biggest room. Except one of them because she's played in there, wanted to play, but I was also really nervous because it was supposed to be the Friday, and not just because people are more willing to take chances on Fridays shows and just how uncomfortably cheap that dart ticket was.
Yeah.
It just the name of the hug event actually started off as kind of a joke-ish because we needed an event page, and our guy who's supposed to do a flyer for it he was really busy and didn't get it done in time, so we needed the page. So my friend Jason just made the cover page for it, and everyone tends to know me for my hugs and so forth. It's a thing.
It is a thing.
So then he just made it about that, and I'm like, oh, we'll change it later. And then people were just like, oh, I love it. That's a brilliant idea. Blah, blah, blah. And then, but it was really cool. I was appreciation for it, the idea of it, and yeah, I could just hug it and so forth. But then I got nervous still because it's but it's somebody who doesn't know me, and it's oh, I heard the Cooperage is a cool place to see a show. I want to go see a show. I like these bands. Who's this random dude who's giving out hugs? That's just weird. I want to see a show. So I was nervous about that part of it. I was like, it could put someone off. But due to a thing in the books, we had to push it. It either had to be canceled because there was another thing that day that couldn't be changed, or it had to be pushed a different day. So I bumped it to the next day, and all the bands were more than willing and just sweethearts to do it for that day. But then again, I was versing Beach House, and my audience, the people I know with the beach appreciation, including all the bands there, are big fans of Beach House. So we know it's even going to be a lesser turnout, but at the same time, that turnout was it was good. everyone got paid, maybe, but just I remember it was almost like a hangout. It felt like a very hangout moment because there's like my childhood best friend, and he brought his entire family there. It was like it was all so many bright faces of people I like, mean the world to me, and people I've never even met. And it's just one of those like, oh, I've always seen the face, and it was like a hangout, beautiful vibe time, and that was just what the best part of it. It was just everyone was so gracious, so overjoyed, and just loved to have that stage time and opportunity. But my biggest intake, besides that, and just the vibe and the magic of how everyone was there, was I like to hear people murmur in the audience like, oh, I would like to get them on this bill, or because in my mind then I'm like, oh great, then they're getting more opportunities.
Right. The doors are opening.
Yes,
yeah.
And I just really want that for them as individuals and artists and their work to just springboard them up.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, or I'm a believer of, give out more love than you're given, and some of that, and everyone before yourself necessarily. That of course backfires occasionally, but
right, yeah.
It still doesn't hurt me. I just
doesn't dampen your spirit.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I can get sad, but contrary to belief, but I use that as to make other people's days. Like,
totally.
If I'm in a dark place, I'd rather put others in light and try to turn them around.
That's very sweet and
Thanks.
very humble. You're a great person to be doing that, and. Like, I hope you know that, like, you know, Milwaukee and its music scene would not be what it is without someone like you.
Thanks.
So,
I'll take the compliment.
Well, thank you. Yeah. But for real though, like, we're really happy to have you out here. Like, all right, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, also I want to point out that you get the struggle that like the sacrifices you have to make when so many of those shows are in one night.
Oh yeah, it's like,
and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to like miss the show. I want to be out to support every one of them, but they're across town.
It's gotta run to everyone.
I know, and yeah, you always have to think like, well, let's see.
The more I could do this on this time, I could catch this part of
right.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. The priority of like, can I see this band another time? Do they have another show coming up?
On the books.
Yeah, right.
What is the next time? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's still rough. I always have something. It's like the 6 to 7 p.m. battle. Yeah, before you've gone anywhere. Yeah. So Chris, as we conclude, tell me what keeps you up at night.
Yeah, it keeps me up at night. I don't know, just general like worries about the world, and like what truly affects me most is when people I love and mean the world to me, and when I know they are dealing with difficult situations, and if they're like in another state or another country, I would rather take their baggage than, like, if I ever had the opportunity to have some magical like chance where anyone I love to care about, any hardships or struggles they could take in their space in their life and had it thrown on me, so they would never experience that, I would take that in a heartbeat, but we don't live in a magical land. Yeah. So it's just, I mean, just the struggles of truly good folks in the world, that really eats me alive.
Yeah, man, that's so real. I'm another very like emotional person, and like I just want to spread a lot of love and beauty and just support to everyone around me. Like I'm like a very big like I believe that people are good, and I want to support them, and I want them to, you know, come into their own and whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it's I totally know what you mean, like where you just have so much love and belief in somebody, like breaks my heart too. But we try to do what we can. Yes. Right, we do what we can. Yeah. I think you and I both, we try to do God's work. So what puts you to sleep though?
What puts me to sleep is the relief of whether if I put a smile on someone's face, or just or hear like something good that happened to someone I like a lot, or the opportunity, or like got promoted, or a gift, or just they're in a new relationship, just like when someone who has experienced such good, I metaphorically return it involved. Like I could feel it, and it fills me up with joy. Yeah. Also, I mean, just playing a good album.
Yeah, right.
Go with the tunes. Yeah. And I guess that also keeps me awake too, depending on how much of the feeling out of it is.
Right. Well, you make me smile a lot.
Likewise.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Chris Novak, everybody. Thank you for watching Mr. Novak.
Mr. Novak.
Mr. Novak.
I'm taking over.
Yeah. Thank you for watching Mr. Nice Guy. We'll see you next time.
Bye.